Folks, creative financing with JB. We back again. This week we're gonna keep whistling. We're gonna keep talking. We got Mr. Melvin Sharpie of Sharpie Realty. Been in the business a long time doing this thing. He got some pointers that I know somebody out there that's trying to run a business is probably gonna be able to use, because everybody have to have that starting point of knowing what works best in business, how it works, how do you generate business, how do you keep growing? Because if you don't learn that and you don't gain that knowledge, you start to struggle out here. You don't understand why you ain't succeeding. You know, we have a lot of folks out here that do the job of real estate, but to hang in there for a while, I mean, it takes a minute. So without further ado, I'm gonna let Melvin tell you a little bit about his background, how he got started in this weird game, and go from there.
Thank you, Johnny. Thanks for having me again. I think the last time I was on here was probably mid-COVID time.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yep. I enjoyed it, and I'm glad that you have me back again. So definitely appreciate this, and I see you've been moving and rocking and shaking. I see you doing a lot in the community, which I really love. All the events you do, particularly with the veterans and stuff. So kudos to you as well. We're doing what we need to be doing in the community. So yes, sir. Let's get rocking. Yeah. It's been 10 years in real estate as a real estate agent servicing the community. It's really what it's about. My journey has been nothing but it's been incredible, I have to say. Through the ups and downs, the highs and the lows. When I look back, I don't think I would change anything about it. So just a quick synopsis. I actually real estate not because I wanted to. I was in banking for 10 years, and I was looking for something else to do. And a gentleman in the church that I used to go to, just in conversation, just tapped me and said, "Hey, have you thought about real estate?" And I was like, "I'm not a sales guy." Well, you have to be a sales guy. He said, "Yo, your personality is really what this industry needs. It's not really about sales. It's about people. It's a people business. It's about service in the community." And then he kind of literally just guided me into, where to go for the knowledge, where to get my license and get started. And he stayed on me, made sure I did it. And 10 years now, looking back, I really appreciate him. I'm going to have a chance to honor that individual at our event that we're hosting. So yeah, that's just a little synopsis and how we got here.
and that's great, because a lot of folks, we struggle when we get in the business to try to understand it, try to develop it, try to get it. And what keeps you motivated? What keeps you just going to that minute?
Man, so I think for me, first, it's really family, right? So I got a beautiful family, my wife and 3 kids from the onset. Actually, funny enough, I really took real estate serious when my daughter, I got a call when she was born, September. I'm never going to forget this, September 14th. Got a call around 3-4 o'clock that I had gotten laid off at work. He was born literally, I think, in the morning. So that call came right in the hospital. And that's when I made a decision that, whatever I need to do to make sure that she's good, wifey's good, the family's good, not having to punch in for somebody else, I'm going to do it. So I walked into my mentor, shout out to Andrea and Michael Haritos. I walked into their office the next day and I said, "Hey, this is my situation. What do I need to do to make real estate work?" And they looked at me like, "Whoa, it's not want to do is where you're going to get money coming in real quick right away." But the beautiful thing they did was really coach and mentor me into how to build a successful business, one client at a time, one relationship at a time. And that's how I'm here. I missed the question.
That answered it. I mean, to get started, you had a mentor, you had somebody to give you that, and it keeps you energized because your family, and folks got to understand that Self-employment has to deal with your own motivation, your own mindset to make sure you accomplish what you need to accomplish out here. And if we don't do it, we can't meet it. A lot of folks say, "Ah, man, people are coming to me. It's so hard. I can't do sales. That is crazy." But everybody's able to sell a vision, and that's what it is. The
Mm.
vision of home ownership of what we do today. And Mel, you probably know that going out there, you're gonna get no's and
Mm.
stuff to do it, but you just keep progressing because that motivation that you give me. So one of the things that really kind of stirs you to keep moving, even though you're tired, is besides the family, is what? Well, what would that be?
Yeah, definitely. That just the ability to help, someone get their keys to their first home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or someone who has lived in a property for a while, and they're ready to let go to the next family, or to just let it go for whatever personal reasons are going on. Um, and normally we don't see what happens in the back, right?
Right.
All the delays, all the tributes, the trials that they go through, and then also that we go through mentally. And at the end of the day, when they close, just the joy that you see on their face, the
Mm-hmm.
excitement, the happy feeling that now, yes, they've also achieved something, particularly when it comes to especially a first time home buyer. Is that happiness that I see that every day gets me up to say that, okay, who is that next person that
Mm-hmm.
can help achieve this goal as well?
And buyers consultations, having that conversation, sellers consultations, how important is that in dealing with this?
Yeah, I think it's really the initial conception of starting a relationship, right?
Hmm.
So my approach is not one of a sales person. I know everybody has a different way of doing it,
Hmm.
but my approach is really just based on a relationship. So the only way for me to get to know my client or know that first time buyer or that seller is through just having an initial conversation. And
Mm.
within a 30 to 40-minute conversation, you get to know a little bit about them. Sometimes you get to know so much. Sometimes you get to know a little bit way more than you want to. But it builds a rapport from the onset, which is very key for the journey that you're going to take, right? Because
Mhm.
I want to make sure that we are in sync, um, because most times it's not an easy process.
Mm.
Times there's going to be delays. Most times there's going to be hurts. Most times the transactions don't even go through. They have to go through it over again. Um,
Mm.
that consultation allows us to be in sync because I'm able to, one, get to know who they are. Two, I'm able to show them the reason why they should work with me. The service, the value I bring to the table, and then
Mhm.
most importantly, we come up with an action plan, right? Uh,
Mhm.
a goal without an action plan is normally just a wish. So we come up with an action plan of, this is where you are, A, B, C, D. If you're a buyer,
Mhm.
what you look like, and we need to get you here in 6 months. This is exactly what we're going to do to get you there. If it's a seller that wants to sell, we have that conversation of, this is what your house looks like. This is what your house could sell in this market, in this neighborhood. And this
Mhm.
is what also the current market is telling us your house you can get for your house. So then there's those expectations set from the onset, that if it's a buyer, they know that they have to do A, B, C to get to Z. If it's a seller, they also know that they have to do A, B, C to get to Z.
This
So
thing.
that consultation is very crucial before you jump in and start doing anything in terms of either a home search or a home sale.
And that's awesome to know, to have that relationship, building it and getting it formed so they can have a clear understanding. Hey, hello, Nicole and Tyrone. Welcome to the show as we continue to talk. And somebody asked a question, how hard is the test, to be in real estate?
How hard? What was the question?
How hard is that test?
The test. Oh, um, honestly, I don't think it's that hard. I think it's really just a mental tricky gotcha type questions that you just have to really review. Review the question and eliminate all the 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 stretched out answers they give you that may be tricky to you, and then you just focused on that one answer that's going to be the right answer. So to your question, I don't think it's hard, like taking a doctor's or a medical exam or lawyer's exam per se, but
Right.
you definitely have to think through as well to be able to pass both the national and then the state exams. There are two exams that you have to sit for.
And somebody asked a question: how do you keep getting customers? I mean, what do you go just meet people and tell them? How does that happen?
Yep, very good question. So, fortunate, by His grace and through humility, I'm humbled to say that almost 60 to 70% of my business or my clientele are referrals,
Mhm.
customer base, and that's very huge in our industry,
Right.
um,
Mhm.
for the longevity of being a real estate agent. And you may be asking, how did I build that percentage over the years? And it's really just connecting with people. So my clients are just like normal people that I vibe with through the process of them either buying a house or selling a house. I'm with them through that process. But even after they're close, I don't go ghost. Like, I'm not, hey, you close, congrats, bye. That's on. I check in on them. They check in with me. I send them stuff. I send them gifts. When they're doing baby showers, events, their life activities, when they send me the invite, if I can go, I go. If I can't make it, definitely believe that I'm sending something in the mail. So I engage with them throughout the process over the last 10 years. Majority of my clients, this is just a normal day to day where I could just text them, I could call them. It doesn't have to be real estate. We talk about different stuff.
Mhm.
And through that, they refer other people because they just feel that I'm a normal person. They can relate to me. I'm not pushy. I'm not trying to sell them on stuff. And they know that when they send a referral to me, one thing is that they trust that I'm going to take care of them. And that's how I've been able to just build a clientele over the years, just through just being good and just being real to people. So that's one thing I would tell you, that if you want to build a business that's sustainable, it's really really all about the people, having a connection with them. You take care of them, they're going to make sure they take care of you.
And that's the key, building that relationship, folks. You can't go out here and meet somebody and feel that you did their service and you're done with them. You have
Mhm.
to keep talking them through them. They have life events, like Melvin was saying, that they want to share in. And one of those life events was him finding that home, and him making sure they understood the process. So guess what? When that start happening, they start having kids, they start building a family, they come back because at some point in time, that house have to keep expanding
Yeah.
and go to the next one. And one step at a time for this stuff. So and he said, yes, building a relationship is very important, but also something as kids is Mel, just tell us about those folks that you probably can't even reach the service because they don't understand the business.
Yeah, so it's you're still gonna get some folks that are not in a position yet to be able to buy or sell. Um, but my job is not to just walk away from them, right? Especially like the first time home buyers.
Mhm.
Most times repeat buyers already understand the process before they've been through. But for those first time buyers that maybe they're not ready, that's really where as their agent, I need to ensure that they have the right tools and necessary steps and process to get them ready. So a lot of times, the biggest things with buyers, particularly, it boils down to two things. Normally, it's either credit or
Yep.
finances, right? Johnny will attest to
That's
that.
it. That's it.
Yeah. So if after my consultation, the next thing right that I do is you need to talk to a lender. Obviously, Johnny's one of my great preferred lenders that I work with. Um, I'm not I'm not the loan guy. I don't do money. I don't know none of this stuff. So I don't even get into your personal finances and stuff. I refer you directly to talk to Johnny to say, go talk to him. Let him figure out where you
Mhm.
are right now. If it's a credit issue, he's either going to help you out or he's going to refer you to someone that's going to help you out. If it's income or money that's short, obviously he's going to talk to you about, hey, you may want to, if your income can go up within a year or two, you may be in a better position. So we give them the tools that they need to um, play with so that they can be ready. Now, normally what happens is, yes, there's two pieces to this. We provide the tools, but they also have to take responsibility. And a lot of
Right.
times that's where I think, Johnny, we've seen that a lot of people
Yeah.
the ball,
Hmm.
that responsibility of making sure that they follow through with what the credit person told them to do. They
Yeah.
follow exactly what Johnny told them to do. They followed through with a game plan. If Johnny says it's a 6 month process for you to, get your score from 550 to 620, if you do ABC, they follow through. If they don't, it's very hard for me to force you to get through that. We're not in the business of really forcing people. We can encourage you, but we cannot hold your hand and drag you to the finish line. You also have to take some responsibility.
Right. Right. And folks, we always tell you we want you to have what you want, but it's got to be reasonable and economical for you, so you can maintain it. Because the goal is not to buy it and then lose it, but to maintain it and make it affordable for you. And what better ways to do it is staying in there for it. And somebody just asked a question: how do I find out how much my house is worth? For it. And you're going to see Melvin's email come across the screen here at melvintherealtor@gmail.com. Text him, send him an email to ask those questions so y'all can understand how he comes up with those numbers. And Mel, you can expand on that. How, somebody's coming to you and say, my house is worth 400,000. How do you come up to give them a reasonable answer?
Yep, definitely. So there's a couple of ways that, as a homeowner, obviously in today's tech world, there's a lot of online tools that can give you home valuations all day, which is all fine. But a lot of times, those home valuations do not factor into. They don't know your house, right? They just
Mm,
going based on data and algorithms. That's why it's key that me as an agent or a realtor uh, come and see your property, whether you're ready to buy or not. I
mhm,
need to see the property just so I can sit down with you and then go through the data within your community to say that based on the current condition of your house, these are the houses that have sold recently within the last 6 months or the last year that are equal or similar to yours. So based on your neighbor's houses 2 doors away, selling for 500,000 with a 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath,
mhm.
only updated, and based on the another one, maybe 3 doors down, the same. That's how much your house is going to be worth. So
Right.
that's how we come up with what your home value would be.
And something important to remember, folks, regardless how much you put in that house, how much you change it around, that value in that area is that value. It might
Yep.
increase a little bit, it might go down, but I can't go and say that I'm next door to Melvin and he got a finished basement and then he made a walkout and he got lights going up the steps. you know, the houses are the houses in that area for
Yep.
where you purchase that, and you have to remember that they might adjust slightly, but when he's giving you those, they call them comparables.
Comparables. Yeah.
So when Melvin's doing comparables, he's looking to give you that information. And folks, send an email because that's a good question to know when you're about to list your house, when you're about to put it up for sale. And that's a good conversation to have before you do that. And Mel, somebody said, what if I want to put my house up for sale, but I want to buy another one at the same time? How would that work for me?
Yep. So good question. So what happens is that seller consultation where I will come to your house, take a look at it, and we'll figure out what comparables to determine what your value is to list it for. That's one piece of it. The second piece of it, in terms of buying another house, is guess what? You've got to go through the same process of getting a pre-approval. So now
Mhm,
you also have to talk to Johnny so he can
mhm,
work out the numbers to see what you qualify for. Right now, because you have a property that you want to maybe sell or maybe rent out, it's going to be a lot of conversation going on. If you want to sell it, the conversation Johnny is going to have with you is, okay, if you sell it, how much are you going to get from this property to put in the new
mhm,
one? If you want to rent it, then Johnny also has to look at rental income. Can you get someone in there? And those are going to be all the factors that he would look into to get you pre-approved. Now, remember, just because you own a home already doesn't mean that by default automatically Johnny's going to get you approved for a new home. You got to
right.
do the same thing. Johnny will talk to that. As far as that transition from your current home, selling it or renting it to buying a new home, what happens is that we prepare your house to put it on the market. At the same time, I'm finding out what your next home wish list is. Once we
Mhm,
identify that, once there's a pre-approval in place, we will list your house, put it on the market. I'm going to put on there that the sale of your property or your house is going to be contingent on you finding another house to move into. That simply protects you. That gives you some peace that if you don't sell your house,
mhm,
cannot or you're not going to move into the next home. If
mhm,
one sees your house and they want to buy it, put it in a
mhm,
contract, they understand that until you find another home, you're not moving out of your current home. Then same thing with the purchase. If we find that home for you, the contract that we're going to put together basically also protects you to say that the purchase of your new home is contingent on your current home selling, going to closing, so that you can get the funds from it if you're going to use those proceeds for the next purchase. Um, so that contingency is going to be very critical, crucial. And then we're going to start going out looking for houses. Meanwhile, at the same time, we have on your house on the market to sell. So those will play right interchangeably to get you from your new home basically to the next one.
And somebody said, somebody told me a home inspection is mandatory or it should be recommended. How true is that?
Yeah, so home inspections are not mandatory. Johnny, correct me if I'm
Yeah,
wrong on the
right.
other
That's
side.
right.
I don't think FHA, VA, conventional,
Don't need
uh,
them.
those they require that it's done, but they do recommend. As your realtor, looking out for you, I'm also going to recommend that you do get a home inspection, just for peace of mind. You want to know what's going on with that property. If there's any issues that needs to be addressed, we're going to work through with this current owner to make sure that they address it before you take ownership. Sometimes they may not have any issues, but at least you know that, okay, the house is in it's sane. The roof was put on X years ago. The HVAC was 6 months ago and whatnot. So while it's not a required um, piece of the puzzle, it's recommended that you have it.
And is buyer's agency agreement still in effect? They said I don't need one all the time.
Oh yeah, it is still definitely in fact. In today's world than before, buy agency basically just protects both the agent and also protects the consumer. Agent obviously is offering a service, and there's a fee that needs to be paid to the agent at settlement. On the other side, you as a consumer or client, you also want to make sure that someone has your best interest. And then also, there's also a clause in it that says that if you feel that that agent doesn't have your best interest, or you want to go a different path, and
Mhm.
cancel that contract. But it basically just allows both of you to understand that at the end of the day, for the services that the agent is going to be paid. This is how much your service fee is going to be. And then you sign off. Keep in mind that it doesn't mean that once you sign, you're locked in. There are ways to get out of it. Very courteous. You just send an email or you send a text to that agent to say, hey, for whatever reason, it's not working out and I just want to move forward. And that's it.
Perfect. Hey, Keisha, how you doing? Introduce that. And that's a viable point there, folks. You know, is something that we have to do and stay in compliance with having that agreement to making a commitment. This is part of your commitment to buying the house. You know, when you sign that buyer's agency agreement, because Melvin or any realtor that drives you around, spend their time, hours, and invest time in you, you know, that's part of how they know that, hey, we have some type of agreement that tomorrow you're just not going to leave. You know, you're just not going to leave. You're going to have a conversation with me before you leave of what's going to happen, or that you want to terminate it. Somebody said, how long do you set for a buyer's agency agreement? Is it a length of time?
Yep. So typically 6 months. That's based on the standard buy agency agreement with my brokerage. Average 6 months, but it's basically a conversation you have with the agent on how long you want it to go.
Yeah, and that's a good conversation to have, you know, folks. And I'm gonna tell you, what sense do it make to have a 30-day agreement? I
Mhm.
mean, because every 30 days you're gonna have to renew that to see houses and to keep going forth. But you have to be vested in the deal. You have to be vested in the relationship, and what you put in is what you get out of it here
Yep.
for it. And when it goes there, and they said during your time in real estate, what is one of the hardest decisions you had to make?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Wow. Huh.
and,
Hardest
and and
decisions.
there's a lot of decisions out there that's hard
Yeah. Yep. I
to
will
make.
tell you, there was a client that I had to let go or quote unquote fire. And
Mhm.
I'm not one of those that normally just like to part with clients, because I understand the service that I provide.
Mhm.
Sometimes it gets intense. Sometimes the market is very difficult. Sometimes,
Mhm.
unfortunately, the clients we service don't understand the market, especially when they can't find the house that they're looking for. Um,
Mhm.
excuse me, and it takes a little bit longer. Then they get frustrated, and you could just feel that it's coming out of them, and they start talking to people, and people start giving them stories and telling them maybe it's your agent and whatnot. There's a lot of ears in. So I had a particular client that I'd been working with for almost I want to say 6 months, and the reason why I had to let him go was because they had me keep writing offers that were literally just lowball offers. I wrote about four, uh, and it was like not. I'm not even saying $5,000 less than list price or whatever. This was like 30, $40,000 less than what's on the market. And this is after I had given them all the data. This is what homes have sold for in the neighborhood. So I think, if you want to make an offer, it's fine to be somewhere around here. And after the fourth one, I got a little frustrated because I just felt like the reason that I was there was not being
Mhm.
realized, right? And
Mhm.
we're seeing a lot of homes. So after seeing homes, after talking to me, after giving them advice, when we come back and it's like, okay, what offer do you want to make? And a lot of times I could tell or know that I can get this house for you, and you have me write in offers way, way, way lower, and I have to present it. It just kind of it drained me basically. And then I send them an email, very professional, saying, hey, I understand that you're looking for a home, but it looks like you're looking for a bargain, and just can we go back to your reasons why and whatnot. And I guess I don't know, they got offended by that, but I mean, here I am, just spinning my head around. Um, and then the last piece of it, I went to show them another house, and the same thing. They were just like, "Oh, I think this house." But at that point,
Mm.
you know what? I can't hold on to this anymore. But I send them a very professional email, just basically stating that, hey, due to we're basically we are not on the same page, so it's just fair that we both go our own ways. And that was the first time in, man, probably never. A lot of times, some clients just ghost, but this one I had to just let him go.
Yeah, and that's hard, when folks don't see the value in the real estate and they want to utilize and think that price, but it's about your reputation out here
Yeah,
of how you do business. As you see, Melvin been doing this for 10 years plus going on, and it's a reputation of how other agents see you
yep,
out here when you
yep.
write an offer and so forth. And they can't look at another offer that he writes and say, well, he's always gonna write it low. He's never gonna come up to prices because you're like, we just gonna hold us to the side. But take that and put it into perspective of when you're buying a home to see where you're at and to make a sense. Somebody says short sales, are they still relevant today?
Yeah, short sales are still relevant. We are starting to see a little bit more short sales coming on the market. And I normally, when there's a short sale in place, there's a third party short sale processor that I normally engage, just because of the time consuming piece of it, dealing with the banks. And just to explain for most of the folks that may not understand, short sale simply means that the current owner that owns the property is underwater in terms of payment. They're back on back their what do you call it? I'm going blank here. Their
Mortgage,
mortgages, yeah,
more
whatever.
than yeah, more than a value.
Yeah, it's undervalued for whatever reason. They haven't paid the mortgage for a while, so now when they try to sell it on the market, they cannot get what market rate is for. So if they just wanted to sell it and walk away, they're basically going to have to come to closing with additional money. So what the short sale facilitator does with, they work with the bank to say, hey, for whatever reason they couldn't pay, can we work with you to try to see if we can sell it at, you know, whatever number that the bank wants, which will not affect the owner in terms of credit. Johnny, correct me if I'm wrong.
Right, that's correct.
Yep. So that's basically short sale. And then as to the agent, once we work with the short sale negotiator and then the homeowner to sell it on the value where they don't have to do, most times they don't have to do any repairs. They can sell it under water, and they keep about moving on with their life.
Yeah, and folks, that's a hard conversation too that Melvin and the realtor got to have with the folks when you upside down like that, and you think that you done did the right thing for so long, but you got to look at what has happened in the process. Did I refinance and pull equity out too many times? Did I just buy a bad deal at the time? Or as we were seeing during COVID, prices skyrocketed over what they normally usually are. So that's what makes sense to sit down and have that look at where they at, look at where they're spending at, look at how much work you got to do to the house. And somebody just asked Melvin, what if the house does need work on the short sale? How does that happen? What happens?
Yeah, so if it needs work, most cases the bank will just say you sell it as is. So as the agent listing the property, uh, we disclose that it's a short sale, right? So everybody understands, and we just also disclose that it's being sold as is, simply meaning that the bank or the owner is not going to make any repairs. Whoever is interested in purchasing the property, if it's a buyer, they have 100% right to do all type of inspection that they want. But the understanding is that the seller or the bank is not going to do any repairs. Now, in some cases, one-offs I've seen where if there's major repairs needed, maybe the bank will work something out in terms of a credit to the buyer,
Mhm.
so that they can just keep the transaction moving. But they are not going to get any contractors in that property to fix anything at all.
Right, for itself. And that's just how it goes. Short sales are hard, tedious sales that we have to deal with. As Melvin and all the realtors know out here, that, those are going to have to be very detailed sellings or listings that the folks can have it. Somebody said, do you have to tell the buyer that it's a short sale? I think you got
Yep.
to put that in their
So
mouth.
we have to disclose it in the listing of the property that this is a short sale, and then it also has to be disclosed if the buyer has to pay the short sale fee for the negotiator that's handling the short sale process. Yeah.
Yeah, for it, and that's also key right there, to understand what's happening in that whole transaction. We just got to be transparent with folks so they can come and make the best offer possible for it. And folks, you got to remember too that short sales have to be approved by the bank because the bank is the one that's losing in this episode. They want a certain percentage of money, and that percentage, that's what it's going to call for. You can't look at because I'm paying commission or something. That's why I got a short sale. No, you have a short sale. It's more than that reason that you'll have that for it. And then when it goes, somebody said dual agency. How does that work, and what needs to happen in that process?
Yep. So dual agency simply means me as the listing agent representing the seller is also representing the buyer. Basically, that's what it means, and it just really just simply means that I'm disclosing to the seller or both parties that, hey, although I'm representing you, I have a buyer that's interested. In my space, in my mind, back in the day, I used to try to make it work. Some transactions did work out, others didn't. But as soon as my wife came on board, she got her license as well. I separated that where if I'm the listing agent and we have a buyer, then that buyer works with my wife. Even though it's still dual agency in the brokerage, we still have separate representation, which make things work out much more better.
Yeah, and folks, that's a hard detail task there when you're probably doing that. I couldn't even imagine. I got to do both sides, and people say, "Are you favoring them?" Or "No, are you
Yeah,
favoring them?" And you're like, "No, I'm working in the best interest of both
both
parties
parties. Yeah.
to get it done because that's what the transaction is about. It's not somebody getting ahead of one another. It's
Mhm.
both for both parties that they have a good, fair transaction in that deal here. And unfortunately, somebody's going to feel that they take the short end of the stick if they have to sacrifice something. But you work to a medium of finding an equal odds in there for it. And then somebody said Delaware has the highest foreclosure rate right now. Is that because the house prices are too high, you believe?
um, I think it's a couple of reasons.
Mhm.
Obviously, it pretty much boils down to back to COVID time, when there was just multiple offer situations. When I think a lot of people just overstretched themselves, bidding 30, 40, 50 upwards, overpriced on the homes. And now they turn around and trying to sell it and they can't. And then also, a lot of times, most people got mortgages, because they bought the properties overpriced. The mortgage, in most cases, probably was over the head. You know,
Mm.
they didn't realize it at that point. They just got excited. I got a, example, just 2020 $600,000 home at 2.3% interest rate. They probably were happy. We can make it work. But then now economy changes, things change. Folks go through life cycles, life changes, job loss, family loss, and whatnot, and then finances become tight. And
Mhm.
I think a lot of times the issue is really, foreclosures particularly can be avoided, but what happens is most unfortunately just kind of ignore
Mhm.
when the notices start coming, or they ignore reaching out for help. And then it gets to the point where it's just that far stretch of it where they really don't have anything to, much say in it at that point. Because Johnny, correct me if I'm wrong, every
Mhm.
state has rules that the mortgage companies have to follow if
Absolutely.
on their loans or whatnot to try to help,
Mhm.
whether it's delayed payment or restructuring their loans. But if you're not engaging with the banks, um, then the foreclosures do happen. So I think
Yeah.
that's happening down where, yep. But we're
Yeah.
good.
And what's key about that, folks, is that that can happen through job loss. That can happen through, economy change. We've seen the government shut down, and people went in these houses that had great paying jobs. They didn't know they were going to be out of work 2 or 3 months.
Mm,
For that. And when that happened, that changed the whole scenario of what was going on, what was happening in that aspect of getting stuff done. So when we start to deal with that, you come up with that. I tell people, if you run into a situation, think about seeing if the worst case scenario, see if you can modify the loan.
mm,
Call your bank, talk to them to let them know that, hey, I'm falling on a rough patch. Can we see if we can modify until I can get back up there? But I'm working towards it. But no conversation is the worst remedy to doing any of this. You have to have a conversation with that. You have to talk about that and have to go through that whole scenario of what's happening to me in this market. You know, can I really buy this house? Even though I'm gonna always put you at your max approval. The goal is how much of that money you're gonna spend.
mm.
Once Melvin asks you that question, hey, what range of house you want to be in, that's what's going to be set for you. And Mel, talk about that when you send like lists of houses to the folks, how that works, and so they can look and see what's happening out there.
Yeah. So basically, during a buyer consultation, I gather what your your home wish goals are. Basically, the ideal home you're looking for. And, the first thing is location. So where do you want to live in? Um, and then what type of house? Whether it's a single family, a townhome, a multi-unit, whatnot. Um, how many bedrooms at a minimum? How many bathrooms? What are all your must-haves and whatnot? And then within my website database, I set up a search criteria specific to uh, what you shared with me, so that I could send you houses within that search criteria. Also, I'll send you a link to my mobile app website where you can search on your own. Because in today's space, most buyers are shopping around on their own. Um, so when I identify houses that meet your criteria, I'll let you know. Hey, I saw these houses. Can you take a look? It does meet the criteria, but take a look. Let me know if it fits your needs. Um, and then sometimes they will send me their houses and say, yeah, these are ones that I saw I'm interested in. But really, what it boils down to is the pre-approval, right? So we're going to be looking for houses within what you're approved for. If the max is 500,000, for example, we are staying within that 500,000 ballpark. Now,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes your max could be 500, but personally for you, you may not be looking to pay a mortgage at 500,000. Maybe you're comfortable only paying, example 2,000. So that means that we need to look at houses that may be 350, not 500, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then
Mm-hmm.
once we find that house for you, then we get you on a contract. if for whatever reason the ideal home you're looking for is not within your mortgage preferred payment, then that means you have to go up in price if you can, right? It happens sometimes, especially in this market when home prices are going up. But most income, most households haven't gone up, and you're stretching to pay to find a simple, basic 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath townhome. But now that townhome that used to be 250,000 just before 2020, that now is 350, 400, but your income hasn't gone up. It's tough. It's tough for most people to adjust. But at the end of the day, you still got to work within you're comfortable paying for your mortgage, which is the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance.
Yeah, and that is important to know, to stay within your budget.
Yeah,
Understand what your budget is. Understand that these houses come through a random search of your criteria. And as Melvin said, he don't control what they put on the market.
not at all.
It just comes through, and it makes sense to go through there. Somebody said, I'm looking at being a realtor. Do I negotiate which company I go to, or how does that work?
Yeah, good question. So, if you're looking to be a realtor, well, first you have to go through the pre-licensing phase of it, right? Uh, take take pre-licensing courses. You can either do that with the brokerage, or you can do it online. I think the CE shop, there's some website. The CE shop is one of those where it's a self-paced learn process. So you go through that, and then you register to take the exam. So depending on the state you're in, there's always going to be two exams. The state, which applies to state real estate law, and then national, which is general real estate information or knowledge. Once you've passed both, then you now have to find a brokerage to work on it. The brokerage, basically, the reason why there's a brokerage is basically to make sure that as a real estate agent, you are
Mhm.
doing right with the consumers. You're doing exactly what you need to be doing ethically. So in case somebody's not doing something ethically, there's there's a quote unquote someone who oversees that agent that you can call and make a report to. So as a new agent, you have to find a company that you're going to work with. Um, I learned this early in the beginning that a lot of times when you start interviewing brokerages, in your mind, you think that they need, how do I put it? You need them? No, no,
Mhm.
you put it that you need them, but really they need you. It's
Mhm.
around. And what I say basically mean by they need you is that you have the power, you have the ability to have a conversation with each brokerage to figure out what are they going to offer to you to make sure that you're successful, right?
Mhm.
It's not about all the flashy stuff and whatnot. What game plan, what path are you going to have me that within 6 months to a year, I'm on the right path to being around this industry for the next 5 years, next 10 years. There's a couple of questions you can ask them. In today's world with Google and AI, I would recommend that you type it, what questions to ask a brokerage when I'm interviewing with them, so that it's not the other way around where you're just sitting there and then they're just asking you questions. You think you're doing an interview. No, no, you should have the power to interview them because remember this, you're about to start on a journey, which is um, you're looking to make this a full-time career. You're looking to make, a profitable business from it. So you have to go in the beginning with the right mindset that I need to be partnered with a company that is going to look out for my success. So
Mhm.
the hard questions that I need to ask them when I go in those meetings, I'm going to ask them those hard questions to make sure that we align correctly. A lot of times I see, a lot of agents go into these brokerage interviews and they don't ask any questions at all. They just let the brokerages or the recruiting companies just talk or just share with them what they have to offer, and then they just nod their head. And they may hear one good thing, one sweet thing, and we offer, a lot of times we offer leads, and then they get excited. So then they will sign up with them. Where in hindsight, reality is, they're not offering you leads. If they do, you're gonna pay for it on the back end somewhere.
Mm. Wow. So, and that's interesting, folks, to know that, what they're offering, what are they doing for you? And somebody said, how do you interview the brokerage? You
Yep,
know?
good question. So the interesting thing is the brokerages have access to all new real estate agents that get their license immediately as you get your license. They have in the back end where, hey, this person just got their license, and they have access to your data, so they know your phone number, email, phone number, yeah, name, phone number, email. Most cases, they will be calling you first,
Mm.
to ask you to come in to have a conversation with them about why you should go with them. If they're not calling you, what you can do is you can just Google local real estate brokerages around me, something like that, and it will come up with obviously a lot of the big names, a lot of the small mom and pop shop ones, and then you take your time, click on each one, review their website, look to see what they offer, pick up the call, pick up the phone, call. You're gonna get someone to talk to, and just let them know, hey, I just got my real estate license. I'm in the process of trying to identify the right brokerage for me. Who do I need to talk to? And then they will have you come in, and then be prepared. Pull up those questions, and then when you go in, so you also prepare to ask them questions back, and
Mm.
have a cordial conversation, get all the information you need about training, very critical. Find out about the commission structure. How does it work? If you get $100 check, a commission, how much are they taking? How much are you keeping? Are there any additional fees that you have to pay? Desk fees, printer fees, whatever additional little fees. Can you cap meaning that at any point, if you pay X amount into the company
Mm.
a year, um, do you get to keep 100% of what you make, right? What does the mentorship look like? Do you get assigned a mentor, or do you get to interview, mentors in the brokerage and see who's going to be a right fit? What is going to be that mentor fees that you have to pay as well, and also find out what are the basic fees that you have to pay, because starting off is going to cost you money. It's not free. It's not easy starting off, especially if you're not, you haven't budgeted for it. It's going to cost. So just be prepared for all of those and be ready to ask those questions. So those.
Wow, and that's amazing for it to go with that. Somebody asked, what would be an important question to ask besides the money, for the money?
Yep. So what does your brokerage offer? What is your brokerage going to offer me to make sure that I'm in this business in the next 5 years?
Mm. That's key right there.
And that's basically you're asking them, what is your game plan? What is your path to success for me? Um, that I'm going to be successful within. I'm not going to be one of the 9 out of 10 agents that fall out of the business within the next 3 to 5 years. You're going to be that one unique agent that's still around in the next 5 years.
And that's important, folks. And you see Melvin's email going across the screen. Reach out, ask those questions, ask him, maybe he can help mentor you, because nobody's never been successful without a mentor, somebody to guide them, somebody to lead them, to give them through some of those hurdles that they're going to go through in this game, because you're going to run into them. The question is, how are you going to be able to manage them as you're going through them, and who's going to be there with you to kind of give you some guidance here. We talking about over 10 years of experience right here, that he has learned so much that has kept his business effective, growing, vibrant out here in this real estate world. And it's important, folks, to have that, because you can't jump in and then jump back out and then try to jump back in, because people look at that consistency and
Mhm.
longevity.
Yep.
Longevity is it for what we have in this industry here. And Melvin will tell you that, it's not always easy, for it's always something that can happen that have to get you to the next step. And Mel, if you had one closing comment about if somebody's out there thinking about jumping into this real estate game, what advice would you give them?
Talk to someone who's been in a game for a long time. Let them share. Let them just give you all the ins and out, just so you can understand that if this is for you or it's not for you, right? Most people just jump in because the excitement of making money or opening doors. In today's YouTube, TikTok, everybody's opening doors and doing all the fancy stuff. We don't show what goes on in the back. So definitely find someone who has been in the business for a while. And you may be asking, well, how do I do that if I don't know any successful agents? Just go to a brokerage, call the brokerage and say, hey, who has been in your company office for 10 years or more, or even 5 years, I'm looking to talk to somebody, I'm looking to get into real estate. And you'll be surprised, a lot of agents, seasoned agents particularly, are very welcoming, very open. Reason being is that there's just way more enough business for everybody that we can hold on, and we also want to share our knowledge. So definitely talk to someone first. Get in. I've spoken with folks before. Same thing that they were looking to get in real estate. They asked me, and I gave them the pros and cons, the in and outs, my experiences, and because of what I shared, some did follow through, and also a lot didn't follow through because they were like, this is not for me. This You gave me a whole insight into. Um, it is not the type for me. It just saves you the time if it's not. But if it's for you, uh, I recommend that you just jump in and have long term mindset. Go it all out, be consistent, show up, do the things you need to do. Have a long term in mind, 5 years minimum. If you're not going to be around 5 years, don't even jump in. And just keep working, and success will come. It won't be overnight, but it will.
Yeah, for folks, man, that's great information for you if you're taking that leap of faith.
Mhm.
That you have to look at what's happening here. You know what? I'm thankful. Melvin has went through there. He's done risen up. He's achieved some goals here, and it was not by his own will, but by learning, applying the knowledge he had to make it happen. And as you heard, humility. Humility is a game in this real estate. You have to have humility when you're going through the whole strategy of it. Man, I want to thank Melvin again for showing up, showing out, man. Give him a shout out for over 10 years in the industry. Ask them folks out there, how long have you been in this? And I'm talking about full time.
Mm. Yep.
Because I work in the morning and I show up in the afternoon. I'm talking about full time real estate
Yeah.
to figure out how to get to where you need to be and how to fulfill your goals, folks. Another great show. Thanks again, Mel, for showing up and
Thank
for your performance and what you do out there in this community. It's well appreciated. But folks, until next week, Creative Financing with JB, finding resources, answers to all your problems, all your needs. We'll see you again next week. Thanks.
Thank you.